And now, it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, rock cod Rick Maxa, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Yamaha Outboards. Reliability starts here. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. And Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray and Rock Cod Rick Maxa.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and we're in the mighty 1090 studios with Captain Dave Hansen.
Look out.
From your Saltwater Guide. Just an awesome guy here, and man, we had to batten down the hatches, but we're safe. It's all safe here now. So you stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. Southern California's sports fishing voice is Let's Talk Hookup on the mighty 1090.
Let's talk candidly about long-range fishing. This is Captain Frank Lepresti of the Royal Polaris and the Shogun. Nowhere on Earth will you find a fleet of long-range boats like we have in San Diego. We are fortunate to have several top-notch operations to take you to the most productive fishing grounds in the world. We all offer good food, comfortable staterooms, huge bait capacity, and top-of-the-line fish-finding electronics. So why would you choose the Royal Polaris or the Shogun for your next long-range trip? What sets us apart from the rest? It's pretty simple. The boats, the crew, and the service. From the moment you arrive at Fisherman's Landing, the service begins. We help you load your gear and do everything possible to get beginners or seasoned veterans ready to catch fish. When it's time to fish, the Royal Polaris and the Shogun have the edge there too, delivering the two best fishing platforms in the fleet. But don't take my word for it. Come fishing with us. If you want the best, it's Royal Polaris and the Shogun. For more information, call 619-226-8030 or on the web at royalpolarissportfishing.com or shogunsportfishing.com.
The new Shimano Torium HG is here, and you'll be able to experience this fantastic reel now at your local Shimano dealer. The new Torium is up to 30% smaller than the previous generation, but still has the same line capacity. The smaller S compact body design and one-piece die-cast aluminum frame provides more rigidity and lighter weight. Torium now has EI surface treatment and is tested up to 700 times the corrosion resistance of past models. The new Shimano Torium HG is not only better on the outside, the inside is amazing, with a cross-carbon drag providing up to 24 pounds of drag pressure from a Star Drag reel. It has a sealed roller clutch and 6.2 to 1 brass gears. The machined aluminum handle has a larger knob to make it easy to crank into big fish. The new lightweight aluminum spool gives you better casting and control. Available in 3 sizes, the Torium HG is the next evolution in compact, rigid, and powerful saltwater Star Drag reels. Get it now at your local Shimano dealers.
It was another awesome year for fishing in San Diego, and it seems to still be going strong. I've talked to people that continue to get into tuna and yellowtail offshore. It was another awesome year for Ford, too. Once again, Ford is America's favorite brand. Just take a look at last year's sales figures. It's right there in black and white. If the car you're driving is 6, 7, 8 years old, it's really time to get into something new, because the technology in these new Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs is nothing short of impressive. You wouldn't want a cell phone with 8-year-old technology, would you? So why keep driving a car with old technology? Now's the time to stop by your San Diego County Ford dealer and check out the latest innovations and designs, like Pro Trailer Backup Assist on your new F-150. You just turn a little knob on the dash and it steers your trailer exactly where you want it to go. Trust me, backing in your boat will never be easier. Learn more at SanDiegoCountyFord.com or just stop by any San Diego County Ford dealer. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. What a fun show today's going to be,
Yes,
bro.
indeed. Our saltwater guide,
Right.
Your saltwater guide, everybody's saltwater guide is Dave Hansen. Good morning, Dave.
What's up, Dave?
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we hear from Dave every Sunday with our fishdope.com report, and we have him for the whole 2 hours now.
That's right.
Can pick his
That's
brain.
right.
This guy, we've already been ripping him apart
Seriously.
here this morning, hooping and fishing and boats and electronics.
What do you think about this?
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
because you, like you said, you run it all, right? You know it all. You run it all. You have it all.
Yeah, this year I was on 140 different boats.
Come on.
Just this year.
No way.
140 different
I was
boats.
on boats from 20 feet to 80 feet. Every day a different boat, a different client, a guy I've never met before, just going out there and teaching them how to do what we do every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool year. Plus, there was stuff to catch this year, so it really made it fun.
Never hurts.
Really
That's never a
fun.
bad thing.
Yeah. So what makes, for somebody looking for a boat, what makes a good boat? What makes a good boat, and how do you advise, if people come to you and say, I want to get a new boat, what do I get?
The first thing we're going to look at is the cockpit to see if you can get a bait tank in there.
That's
'cause
key
that
for Southern
is the
California,
most
right?
important part of fishing in Southern California. And that's what I spend a lot of time trying to convince people, that area on your cockpit, you need to put a bait tank in the center of your deck. And people always go, well, Dave, that takes up a lot of room. Well, if you're going to fish in Southern California, it doesn't matter how comfortable the boat is. When you get to where you're going, if you don't have any bait, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
And a half a scoop or one scoop is not going to cut it in Southern California if you have more than one guy on the boat. And who goes fishing by themselves? Not very often. You usually bring a person or two. You're going to want a chum, so you need that bait tank. The next thing is the burn on the fuel. If you're burning a phenomenal amount of fuel, if you're burning gas, and you have a 32-foot boat, you're not going to go fishing very often because the price of the fuel is going to kill you. Just to go to Catalina from, say, Long Beach on a gas boat with twin gas engines, you're going to be $400 to $500 just a trip to Catalina for one day.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of guys out of the deal. So you're going to want to get a diesel, something 30 to 35, 40 feet with a with a 50 to 60 gallon bait tank dead center in the middle of the boat, like a Pacific Edge tank, like Mark makes. Something like that holds 2 or 3 scoops of bait, and then you're going to want to run that boat at a level that you can actually financially handle it so you can go fishing every week, because you want to go fishing every week, and you want to use your boat. You want to use your boat. If you let your boat just set, then all the seals start to go out. If you just let it set, then the day you want to use it, it doesn't work. And a lot of times, like I tell guys, the generator, this is something that blows my mind. That generator on your boat is made to be used. So if you're on your boat, you should turn the generator on. And you should run the generator as much as you possibly can. I grew up on sport boats. We grew up with the generator running all the time. What happens is guys don't run their generator, and then the day they want to use it, it doesn't work. Because it just sat there and rotted on the boat, and all the seals and everything just got rotted, and they didn't work. You've got to run that generator all the time.
Yeah.
And then as you
the worst thing you can do for a boat is let it sit.
Yeah, let it set and rot. If you're not going to use it, sell it.
Yeah.
Give it to someone who's going to use it to go catch fish and have fun and get lobster.
So what about, so you talk about the bait tank, you got to have, we're talking about bigger boats, we'll move into smaller boats. You talk about a bait tank in the middle of the deck. What about somebody says, well, I'll just put it on the transom?
Well, here's the deal. If it's on the transom, it's going to get beat up really bad, because that part of the boat's probably getting to move the most. Mm-hmm. It's going to be moving around a lot. The water's going to slosh back and forth. It's going to have to be narrow if it's on the transom. It's not going to be wide. It's not going to be an oval shape or round. It's going to have to be like narrow, like a rectangular shape, and it's just going to, as the water sloshes back and forth on that stern or lazarette or whatever, the cap rail back there, which a lot of boats put them on, it just beats the baloney out of your bait, and it just kills it. And the whole key to live bait is when you get to where you're going, you want it to be alive.
You want it to, it's called live bait.
Live bait for a reason. Yeah. And then if it's on the transom, then you're leaning over the transom all the time. Or if it's on the swim step, you have to lean out over that all day to get a bait every single time. By the end of the day, your lower back is burning. It's on fire.
If you're going to make the investment on something that's going to work for you.
And put that bait tank dead center in the middle of your deck. Yeah. It's the most important. Then it becomes a focal point of the boat. You put a top on it. You put a tablecloth over that top. That's where you serve your wine and your cheese. You can sell it to your wife. Most guys are afraid to put that on there because their wife wants that deck space. Well, where do you put the cocktails? Where do you put the wine?
It's the perfect cocktail place.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a beautiful table in the middle of your deck.
Absolutely.
I just in 100% agreeing with Dave. Literally, when we got our boat, the very, very first phone call we made, and that's for real, to anybody, was to Mark Wish and just said, this is what we have, and we want to have as much bait as possible. Right. This is what we got to work with. What do we? Now you take it from there, and that's it. And we literally washed our hands of it and said we want the most and the best, and that was the only two requirements. And then Mark took care of everything else.
If you're going to fish in Southern California, it's a bait fishery.
You have to
have the right bait tank.
Like I tell all my guys, we just don't carry an extra 60 to 150 gallons of water around because it's cost efficient.
Right.
We carry that around because we need that bait when we get to where we're going.
Yeah.
Like the Hatteras I drive, we hold 360 gallons of water. We hold 20 scoops of bait. That's the number one thing is the bait tank. I'm taking 6 people fishing offshore. I want to make sure that we don't run out of bait.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
All right, so let's move from kind of a medium to big-sized boat to a skiff-sized boat like we fish. Outboard-powered boat. What do you look for in that?
You're going to want a 4-stroke engine. First thing you want to do is try to get rid of that 2-stroke because it's going to burn a phenomenal amount of gas if you have a 2-stroke. That's what my skiff has is a 2-stroke.
Yeah.
Then what I've done and what I've talked to a lot of my guys about, your deck space is really tough on a smaller boat. But you know where you're set, where those seats are? Tear those out, and that's where the bait tank goes. And you put a cushion on top of the tank, or you just set on the top of the tank. But the first thing I do is I don't care if I'm sitting or standing. When I get to where I'm going, if I don't have any bait, it doesn't matter. So that seat comes out, and that's where the bait tank goes.
You're talking about something like 18 to 21.
To 25.
Yeah.
25 foot. Because if you look, there's no deck space on those things to put a bait tank. And a lot of those boats are
depends on the boat.
Well,
you look at a Parker like Ricky just got our
Brandon's,
something like that.
Parker's.
Yeah. I mean,
Parker's got a beautiful deck space.
Or like some of the boats that are designed for West
Coast fishing,
like the Defiance. I mean, there's the key.
Right.
A boat designed for West Coast fishing. Defiance boat designed for West Coast fishing. Parker boat designed for West Coast fishing. It has room for a seat. It has room for a center a bait tank.
Right. Well, they've got the little cabin and stuff, and so you move the driving station up forward of the boat, so you have all that deck space. But if you have a center console boat, and we're not going to throw any names out there, but like mine, Wellcraft, I don't have any room, so I had to put it where
the name out.
I know I didn't. I'm trying to get better at that. I don't want to, but there's no deck space on there, so you got to take the seat out and put the bait tank where
like
you
leading
set.
post style.
Right.
Take the factory molded piece out completely, put a bait tank there, and put a cushion on top.
And Mark's the best at that. Yeah. Mark can figure out where to put it. Now I know Mark's the best, so he's super busy. You guys have to understand. You got to have patience. You can't call Mark up in July and get mad at him because he couldn't put your bait tank on. Right. In July, because he's got about 40 of them to put on in July. So calm down. If you're thinking about putting a bait tank on, you know when's a good time? Right now.
Right now.
Because it's going to rain now for the next week.
So for the next month it's going to rain.
Probably for the next month. It's time to get your boat all dialed in and get ready. Because even if the season's half as good as it was this year, you're going to get ready.
How much fun was this?
Get ready.
Oh, yeah.
It was just the best.
Yeah. So yesterday, went out, my brother-in-law John's in town from Cleveland. We went out, we were late to the party for fishing, but, we had to go out on the ocean. It was like a lake yesterday. If anybody was out there, and the red crab thing, the whale show, unbelievable.
The red crab thing is mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling how much.
I was at Catalina for the day after Christmas through all the way up to New Year's Eve, and the red crabs on the beach are 4 or 5 inches thick, all over the sand.
Kidding.
It's unbelievable. Wow. The whole island, all the way around the island, is just solid red crabs from like 400 feet of water to the beach.
Yeah.
Just those little red crabs that hatched from the big ones that came up here last May.
Now, you've been spending a lot of time hooping.
Yeah. For the last 15 years, I kind of have been doing it.
You started kind of the whole thing. 15 years ago, there was nobody doing it but probably you and me.
We were I was the first guy to start charging people to go hoop netting because it was wintertime. I owned a charter boat. We were trying to figure out a way to make a living. So I started that Liquid Coast Highway. We did $600 for 6 guys, hoop netting. We gave you all you could eat, all you could drink, and 6 hours of hooping in Long Beach and L.A. Harbor. And then I read what's going on right now on the Internet. And people are complaining there's no lobsters, there's no lobsters, there's no lobsters. There's no lobsters. Guys, quit saying there's no lobsters. It's all cycles. Here we go. It's coming. The rain. If you guys can put on some foul weather gear and go hooping, when it's raining, it's going to be good all over the place. Because the water, like me and Rick were just talking, the water's been super clean this year. Lobsters don't like to move around when the water's really clean because everything wants to eat them. Not just us, but sharks and sea lions and moray eels and octopus. Everything wants to eat them. So when they have the shelter of the dirty water that's going to come from the rain, it's going to make them want to move. Plus, they hate fresh water. So when you got all that runoff, they're going to start moving around to get out of their little secret nooks and crannies. And if you can have your hoop nets in their way, they'll walk in there to get something to eat on their way to the next spot.
Wow. Cool. That's good advice. So you're saying this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be out there Wednesday night at my little secret spot in Long Beach Harbor that we haven't fished for like 5 years because there hasn't been any reason to because there's no weather. I learned that in Long Beach a long time ago. If there's no weather, you're not really going to get any lobsters. Now, we can go 3 years ago when they opened up that area in the back of Long Beach Harbor that hadn't been fished forever. Yeah, it was good, but no one had fished that. That doesn't mean there's no lobsters in Long Beach anymore. It just means it's all cycles, and as the water gets dirty and as that flow starts to go, I think you're going to see some really good counts come out of Long Beach Harbor and probably your harbor down here in San Diego, which I'm not real familiar with, but if you took a topographical map and started looking at where all the flows are going to come from the fresh water and put your hoops in front of that, I think you'll do pretty good down here in San Diego too.
What's the biggest thing that creates a good crawl? Is it the fresh water? Is it big swell? Is it a mix of everything? Is there one thing that you say that produces better fishing than another?
No moon.
Okay.
Big movement. Big swell.
Moving
or big
around.
tidal movement, but the water needs to
big tidal movement.
But the water needs to be dirty. If it's a big tidal movement and the water's clean, you're not going to have any movement. They're not going to move. As soon as that water gets dirty in that bottom and they can be camouflaged and move around without everything seeing them, plus all that phosphorus in the water that we have, I think that has a tendency to make them not want to move either, because if they move their antenna or they move their leg, they light up like a neon sign down there. So they're stuck in their hole. They don't want to come out. They don't want to die. Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, they don't want to die. So you got to get out there and move around. And that's why Brandon's done so well in that deep water over there, because down there in the deep water, it's so dark. They got to move. They got to go out and eat. They're going to move around, but they're not going to move in the shallows where the water's really clean.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, that's good news.
And there you go.
So tell us about your business. What do you do at your Saltwater Guide?
All right. What I do is I go with you. See, I ran sport boats with my family for a long time. And
by the way, who's your family?
Don Hansen's my father. He's been in the business.
Is that the guy that owns Dana Wharf Sport Fishing?
Yeah, he owns
that guy.
Those boats there. Frank Lepresti used to work for him. Steve Lasley used to work for him. A lot of the big-time superstars of sport fishing worked for my father at one time or another. So my dad's been in the business since the early 40s, so he's been doing it for a while. So I used to work for him, and then I used to watch the private boaters follow us around all the time. And I know there's a lot of sport boat captains listening right now. We see the private boaters follow us around all the time. And we used to think, oh, my God, look at that guy. He doesn't know anything. He's following us. No, they know a lot. They just don't know where the fish are. They needed someone to teach them. So I started this Captain Dave Saltwater Guide service like 18 years ago, and I go with you on your boat. I show you how to use all those electronics you bought. I show you where to fish, how to fish, what to fish for, and I teach you etiquette, which has been a lost art in the last 5 years. No, there's no etiquette. They see a boat, I don't care if it's a little boat or a big boat, they're coming to it the moment it stops. And I teach you, if you do have to go to that boat, I teach you the way to go to it. You don't want to just go flying over there and drive up their stern. So I'm just teaching etiquette, and I'm teaching the proper way to catch fish in Southern California.
Nice.
With a sport boat background, how you used to do it every day when you were trying to catch for a passenger.
Right. Well, I come from the world where we caught 600 to 900 fish every day. That's what you had to do because you had 60 people on the boat every day. So you needed 600 to 900 fish. Now I can go with you on your private boat with 2 guys. And if we get 10, it's a phenomenal day.
Oh, heck yeah.
And my guys are
And that's all you need.
Yeah, and everybody's happy. But it took a long time for me. I used to bring the boat back almost sinking full of fish. And then I thought, then the guys were like, what are we going to do with all this?
Exactly. So electronics, we haven't even ventured into that. Electronics are pretty important here, right?
Yeah, super important. And I don't have anybody that takes care of Dave Hansen with electronics. But I'm on a different boat every day with the guys that are buying it, which is kind of weird. You would think someone would want me to help them out, but I don't have anybody electronics. But all I can tell you is watch Deadliest Catch. If you can look over Sig Hansen's shoulder and see what he's using, you're going to find out they're using Furuno. Furuno's the very best. Now, are there other companies that sell great electronics? Absolutely. But Furuno's the best. You're going to get the best picture, you're going to get the best, but you're going to pay the very most. And then the other companies falling behind them. If I had a big pile of money and I could get whatever I want, I'm getting Furuno. Always.
Have you tried the new Simrad stuff?
Yeah, and I like it.
The touch
I like it.
stuff?
And and here's what we do. We compare it. Yeah, that picture's just like a Furuno. That's what we always say. I'm sorry, but I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not breaking anybody's heart. Simrad's a great machine. Simrad's great because what I like the feature on the Simrad is you're driving along and you see a rock and you missed it. You just touch the screen, and it saves it for you.
It saves it for you.
And if you when you touch the screen and you want to go back it'll drive the boat back to the rock.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool, and it's really good for my guys that aren't real sharp on how the electronics work. So That touchscreen system and the whole easiness to use on the Simrad is great for the new guys. It's phenomenal.
What about transducers? Ricky and I were talking about this. How important is that transducer for you?
The mounting of the transducer is the most critical thing, because if it has any air at all, any air, if it's mounted in front of another pump, if it's mounted in front of something that's going to cause an error, if like this boat I was just on the other day, the bolts that are holding the transducer onto the bottom, it had little air inside of it where it wasn't smooth on the transducer bottom, so that it was causing air. So it would work great at 3 knots. If you went to 5 knots, it just shut off. You couldn't see anything.
Really?
The mounting of the transducers, the most important. You can buy all kinds of transducers, but if it's not mounted correctly, it's not going to matter. Yeah. You want to make sure that it's a flush mount, and they make them there. You don't have to put a hole in it. In the boat now, they have it where you can put it through the hole, but I don't know. I think my personal is you have to have it outside of the boat, outside of the hull. If you put it on the back, every time you drive, you have a phenomenal amount of air coming up back there by the swim step. You want to put it underneath about right where you stand when you're driving. If it's a center console like my skiff, I have it right underneath of where I drive from. The transducer's mounted there, and it's flush mount, and it's perfectly flat, and it's angled straight up and down. It doesn't go off to the side, to the left, to the right. It's straight up and down, and there's no air. And you got to get somebody that does it for a living. I mean, you look at a YouTube video and you think, I could do this. Well, you can't, because it's super crucial for it to be exactly true, or you're going to get air. And if you get air, you're done.
So what about 1 kilowatt, 600, 600? What do you want?
Well, it all depends if you're fishing for a living or not, how much money you want to spend on
Let's say you're recreational.
If you can get a 1 is going to be perfect.
1 kW.
Yeah, 1 kW transducer. Okay.
600 isn't enough?
600 I don't think is
not
proper.
Powerful.
You want to get that one at least, because the picture is going to be way more cleaner.
What
way
about
better.
A transom mount?
See, the transom mount is what I was just talking about a minute ago. You get a lot of air back there.
You get the air.
You get a lot of air. Yeah. When you're running, you got to slow way down to see something. Yeah. If you can run at 10 knots and see fish, you're styling. If you can put it on the transom mount and it's clean and it's getting below the bubbles.
But if that's what you can do, it's adequate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But once again, it's got to be a stable mount, and it's got to be true, and it got to be under the water a little bit. You don't want it up at all where it's getting a lot of air. It's not going to get you a clean picture.
There's so much to talk about here, Ricky's. Man. Lot to talk about. But we want to let our listeners have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Dave Hansen
we'll steal all the time. Yeah. I know. Being in the new boat game, I got all kinds of questions as well. So we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And such a cool opportunity to have Dave Hansen here, a guy that's literally busy all year long. So very fortunate to get to come hang out and answer some questions for you. And we want to hear from you. If you want to join us this morning on Let's Talk Hookup, there's 2 ways that you can be a part of the show. And first is with our local line, which is 858 area code 457-1090. Again, 858-457-1090. That's our local number. Or you can reach us toll-free. That toll-free line, 877-792-1090. One more time, 877-792-1090. Not only going to be talking all kinds of fishing, not only going to be talking all kinds of fun, but Dave has brought us an awesome prize for one lucky caller at the end of the show today, a brand new Okuma combo, and a very, very cool one at that. It's a brand new Okuma Komodo level line reel and one of the Okuma Shadow Stalker rods, which are really nice. It's just a bitchin' calico bass to small yellowtail, low-profile outfit, and a really, really cool prize, Dave, and we really appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Thanks to the guys at Okuma for that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for Dave. He's sponsored by the Okuma guys.
Yes, I am.
And someone's getting a rad combo at the end of the show today. So when we come back, we're going to be taking those phone calls. Again, if you want to get your shot at that awesome rod and reel, or better yet, your chance to talk to the man, Dave Hansen, 858-457-1090 or 877-792-1090. We come back. We're taking those phone calls. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on the mighty 1090.
Bubba had a dream, Bubba had a wish.
Meet the Innovation Award-winning Yamaha V6 Offshore 4-strokes at 300, 250, and 225 horsepower. These Predators are up to 73 pounds lighter than the competition. And with class-leading 4.2-liter displacements, they're up to 19% faster and up to 17% more fuel efficient at cruise RPM than comparable 4-strokes. And now they're available with Helmmaster, Yamaha's fully integrated boat control system. Meet the next generation of Yamaha V6 Offshore 4-strokes today at your local Yamaha dealer. Helmmaster available with V6s purchased only as part of new boat packages from Boat Builder Partners.
Here's John Ireland for Rancho Leonero.
Rancho Leonero was awarded the Certificate of Excellence from TripAdvisor for 4 straight years. Especially interesting, most hotels are just hotels, and most people stay in the hotel and go do their activities elsewhere. Rancho Leonero, of course, provides fishing, diving, all activities, all meals, your whole vacation. So the fact that we're so highly rated, we're very proud of it. From picking you up at the airport to dropping you off, literally everything is turnkey from there. We make it as easy as we can for you at the ranch. From your meals to whether you're going to go fishing or diving or just hang out by the pool. When you're coming to Rancho Leonero, you are coming to John Ireland's home. I guarantee the best fishing vacation experience in all of Baja. It's unique. There's nowhere that I could think of to get the same experience that you get at Rancho Leonero. Our new reservation phone number is 800-646-2252, 646-BAJA, and rancholeonero.com. It's really unique. It is. We're very proud of it.
This is Greg Stotesbury from AFCO. For more than 55 years, the American Fishing Tackle Company has been recognized as the premier manufacturer of precision-built offshore fishing tackle. AFCO continues this tradition today with an innovative technical fishing clothing line designed and built for ultimate performance on the water. From our next-generation fishing shorts like the Tactical Camo or Stealth Shorts to our AF Block sun protection shirts like the Fish Ninja and Samurai Sun Hoodie, the entire AFCO clothing lineup is purpose-built with the latest AFTech fabrics and designed with functional features to deliver top performance for the demanding angler. Visit www.afco.com to find a dealer near you.
For East Cape Fishing, Jen Wren is known as the best. This is Mark Rayer. Great service, top quality equipment, including all accurate reels, CalStar rods, and Sibron electronics, has put my immaculately maintained twin-engine cruisers in a class of their own. For memories of a lifetime, just bring your hat and sunglasses, and we'll provide a fishing experience that will exceed your expectations. Our calendar's filling fast, so don't miss out. For packages, 2 live webcams, a weekly fishery report, and more, check out TeamGenRen.com. We pick up at all East Cape resorts, so let's go fishing.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
All right, Captain Dave is here, your saltwater guide, having some fun, talking fishing, and the phones are packed. Let's jump into it.
Dude,
Rick.
You're not kidding. Everybody's excited to talk to Dave. We're going to start it off with Mike. He's calling us from Laguna Niguel this morning. Mike, good morning. Thanks for getting us started here on Let's Talk Hookup.
Morning, Mike.
Good morning, guys. We're so lucky here in Laguna Niguel to have Dana Wharf sport fishing there, and it's
yes, you are.
It's really an outstanding operation. I listening to Don just a little bit here. What was it growing up like? What was it like growing up Hansen?
That's a good question. That's it like growing up Hansen.
I was blessed because I love to fish, and that's like the deal. I absolutely love to fish. If I could pee a puddle, I would fish in it. So what it was growing up on the San Clemente Pier when I was a kid was epic because my father's office was on the end of the San Clemente Pier.
That's where you ran the operation.
My dad ran the operation off the pier. That's where he started off the San Clemente Pier. That's
How old
where the whole thing. Well, we moved to Dana Point in 1971. So I was like in 3rd grade when we moved to Dana Point. But I remember the pier like it was so cool. I remember the first time I went fishing with my dad on the Sun Fun. I was 3 years old. I remember my mom putting my shoes on the counter, and we're going to go see Dad at work. It was spectacular. And riding in the back of his car, going down the San Clemente Pier, waving to my buddies as they had to walk, and we got to drive in the car out to my dad's work. And laying underneath my father in the office on the end of the pier while he was selling tickets before we went out on the boat. I'd have to lay underneath him on the floor, and I remember the old metal tin box, the cash box, because there was no cash registers or nothing back then, and that's where he sold the tickets from. And then he sold the tickets on the pier, then he climbed down the ladder and he got on the boat and he ran the boat. He'd have one of his buddies or one of the other captains bring the boat into the pier for him, and then he'd sell the tickets, and then we'd get on the boat and go fishing. And
what boat was that?
The Sun Fun.
The Sun Fun, which still floats today.
Absolutely.
Today.
That was the boat that I believe, the stories, you try to remember as much as you can. I was a little kid. And a lot of things have happened between now and then, but he told me, I believe, that was the first boat that he was in charge of in 1961. They built that. He's going to call in today and talk to us and probably straighten this stuff out for me. That's what I remember, and just being there and just being a part of the whole thing and going out on the skiff in the morning to find the boats in the morning when it was foggy and cold, and how those guys drove that little tiny skiff with that little 5-horsepower motor out into the middle of the ocean and found the boat on the mooring can in the fog, and they did it every day, and it was crazy. It was neat to grow up that way, though. It was a cool way to grow up.
What year did they build the harbor?
In 1972 is when we brought everything, or 71, excuse me, was when we brought everything to Dana Point. And the way my dad tells the story is, if he didn't take the concession in Dana Point, and he stayed in San Clemente at the time, somebody would have taken that concession, put him out of business, and then nowadays insurance would put you out of business. So he moved the operation to Dana Point in 1971, and we ran off that little pier in the very back of the harbor, and we had a trailer that we sold the tickets out of, and the whole place was all dirt.
In the harbor?
In the harbor.
Wow.
And the whole place was all dirt.
And that was the harbor, I'm sure.
That was it.
Yeah. There were no slips.
There were no slips. He used to take me up on the hill at the little gazebo up there by the chart house, and we'd look out and watch them blow the rocks up in the harbor and put the break walls in. And, you know, just to sit and talk to him and talk old stories and what happened and how it all came together. It was pretty cool days.
That's so cool.
It was pretty cool days, you know.
Yeah.
And when people say, and I've read this on the internet and things say, well, Dave, you just started it. You're just a flash in the pan. Nobody really knows. Really? Well, I've been doing this for a living since 1978. So I don't know, a flash in the pan. I don't know how long you got to be doing this to be doing it for a long time. But I'm sure there's a lot of guys that think I'm just a flash in the pan, and that's fine. I don't care. I work every day.
Can't read the internet. That's the key. Just don't even look at it.
Right.
Hey, thanks a lot for the call this morning.
All right, well, hey, let's jump right back into the phones. If you want to get through, it is going to be a very busy morning. That one's 877-792-1090. Next up, we're going to talk to Daniel. He's calling us from Chula Vista this morning. Daniel, good morning. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, guys. Happy New Year.
You
Happy
too, Daniel.
New Year.
I had a question. I'm originally from Oregon. In Oregon, we can hoop net for Dungeness crab pretty easily off any of the docks. How far south do they come down?
We don't have Dungeness down here. We have stone crabs, rock crabs is what we call them. And that's what we get down here.
I don't think maybe as far as Morro Bay, Harold Davis would probably know better, but you definitely don't see them south of Point Conception. There's no doubt about it.
I think the water's too warm.
The water's too warm, yeah. But, yeah, I've seen that up in Oregon where you just walk out on the pier and people are, like, throwing hoop nets right off the piers right there and catching them.
Oh, man.
Big time.
Oh, that's a great time.
I love Dungeness crab, too. That would be a bad thing for me if I could do that.
I'd trade a Dungeness crab for a spiny lobster any day of the week.
I love
for sure. Love them myself, too. So, yeah, I think the answer would be, because you know they catch them in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I know they catch them in Santa Cruz and Moss Landing and that whole area up there. So I'm going to guess, just out of sheer guess, that the kind of the dividing line for that would be Point Conception. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where the water changes dramatically.
Yeah. Indeed.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, hey, try the lobster thing. Go with Dave.
I was going to say that's the thing, yeah.
You might have fun.
Go hooping.
It's really fun. They're still pretty good to eat.
Yeah.
And if you don't like them, you can just, I'll get rid of them for you.
Yeah,
no
you
problem.
can give them to me.
Send them on
Especially
over.
the Catalina ones.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know that you saw Brandon's Facebook page yesterday.
Coolest picture I've seen in so long.
The Facebook post he put on yesterday on his Facebook with his kid and then the whole bathtub full of spiny lobster.
Nice.
That was rad picture. Yeah, it was very, very cool.
$2,000 worth of lobsters
Seriously.
in there. So, yeah, indeed. Hey, let's go ahead and jump into the phones. One line open. You want to get through 858-457-1090.
Don in Woodland Hills, you're up next on Let's Talk Hookup. What's up, Don?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Don.
Hey, Dave, first of all, I just want to thank you for all the seminars you put on. You put a really great spin on fishing with your sense of humor, and I personally appreciate it, and I love listening to you talk.
Well, thank you, Don. Thank you very much. I try to make it as fun as I can because you got to remember it's just fish.
It's just fish, and fishing is supposed to be fun.
Absolutely. And all I know is the more money you throw at it, the less you catch.
My question for you is the proverbial one on white sea bass. What do you think the season's going to shape up to this year, and what's your favorite rig to go with?
Okay, we can all hope and pray that there's not a lot of white sea bass because that'll mean that it's going to be another warm water year and we're going to get a lot of tuna and all that pelagic fish that come up here. If we have a phenomenal amount of rain like they keep talking about, though, and then that squid moves in because the water's cooler, then if that happens, then we're going to probably see a lot more white sea bass because the focus is going to be on that inshore fishing again, and everyone's going to be looking for squid beds. And I'm not really a white sea bass, say, fisherman guy. I fish for whatever's biting, and we catch our white sea bass. We catch everything. When I'm fishing for sea bass and we're going out and they're biting, I'm using probably Andros with 65-pound braid on there, maybe a piece of Top Shot of 65 or 50 or 60-pound fluorocarbon and a sliding sinker and a 4/0 or 6/0 mustad thin wire hook, because I think it makes the bait swim better and it presents it proper. And I'm going to go with the smallest slider that I can use and still get to the bottom. What I've found is the key, though, is to not let your bait lay on the bottom. A lot of my guys go, Dave, all I ever catch is bat rays. All we catch is bat rays. That's because your bait's laying on the bottom. If you ever saw a white sea bass, their mouth's in front of their face, not on the bottom. So if your bait's laying on the bottom, you're going to get a bat ray. And if it's in the water column going up or down, you're going to have a better chance of getting a sea bass.
So how do you do that?
A lot of the guys are using those, like Brandon uses like a big bobber or a balloon. And I've just kind of learned from watching those guys do it, because they're way into it, is they use some type of a device to float the line so that it's not sinking right down to the bottom. I'm always a hands-on I don't put my rod in the rod holder. I don't have that float thing. I don't have time. I got ADD. I don't have time to stand there and wait for something to happen, so I'm making it happen. So I'm using a small slider. I'm casting it out. I'm letting it sink through the water column, and when it gets to the bottom, I wind it back in, and I throw it back out, and I let it sink. And if I'm constantly moving my bait and constantly fishing with the fishing pole in my hand. I'm not a big go out in the middle of the night vampire-type fishing like Hayward and some of those other guys. That I call that vampire fishing.
And Ricky.
I'm a fat old man. I want to sleep in my bed at night. I like sea bass when they bite when the sun's out and I got flip-flop shorts and a T-shirt on.
There you go.
That's my kind of sea bass fishing.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Happy
Don.
New Year, too, Don. Thanks a lot for the call this morning. It's the one and only guy.
Night times for, what'd you say, night times for sleeping?
For sleeping. Yeah. But, that being said, how many times you've caught sea bass at night and 4 o'clock in the morning when they just start going wide open?
9 times out of 10, you know.
Yeah.
But I never. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It just like you said, it's all about.
It's a vampire fish.
They bite when they bite.
Yeah.
Right.
When are they going to bite? I don't know.
Yeah.
That they're going to bite when they bite.
They're going to bite.
And
but
if
a lot
you
of
don't have your
times
line
they
in the
bite
water,
at night, right?
Yeah. And if you don't have your line in the water, you're not going to catch them.
So
Nothing
let's
more
go
true
back.
than that.
Let's go back to the bait laying on the ground, because this is a really important thing, I think, for people wanting to catch sea bass.
Okay.
Keep it moving, is what you're saying.
I think it's important to have it
sitting
off
in
the
a
bottom.
rod holder, sitting there, whether it's a balloon or a
Right.
or a Brandon bobber, like you can see on our YouTube channel. We did a thing on the Brandon bobber. Off the bottom, not sitting on the bottom.
And if you're using a dropper loop, when you're using a dropper loop, if that loop that your hook is on sets below the weight, well, now you're leaving it laying in the bottom again. We like to have it 18 inches above the weight. That way, if you ever saw a squid bed on the YouTube or anything, you look at that squid bed, all that squid's laying on the bottom, and every once in a while one will come up through the squid bed. It'll just come up a little bit off the bottom, and that's when the sea bass eats it. He's not swimming down in that squid bed, laying on the bottom, sucking up all that dead. He's waiting to get that barely alive squid that comes up off that bottom of that squid bed. So if you put your dropper loop 18 inches above the weight so that it's suspended above the squid bed, I think that's better. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm talking about. I just fish every day, so.
I think you do know what you're. Well, you look at the really good sea bass guys. You know, Trompus. You look at Brandon Hayward and stuff like that. Yeah, all those guys. They have some stuff in the rod holder, a balloon, a Brandon bobber, a dropper loop, but they always have one in the hand too, and they're always moving the bait, right?
Yeah, checking that water column out. They're working, they're fishing hard. They're working.
Vampires all night long.
All night long. All night long.
Indeed. You still catch an occasional bat ray or something else, right? But
they swim up off the bottom too. But
you minimize the amount of that.
And like you say, and you still put a dropper loop out, and you still put the bait on a float out, and you still do all those other things. But you try and put as many bullets in the gun as you can.
Yeah, that's it. Cover it
as
all.
much water as you can.
Yeah, there you go. All right, before we go on to the next thing, talk about fishdope.com and your contributions to Fishdope. How'd you get associated with them? How'd you get all that stuff? Good
question. Yeah, I don't know either.
I got a call from Jason back when they very beginning, when they first started to put Fish Dope together, and he asked me if I would like to contribute to Fish Dope, and I was, well, what's fish dope, and it hadn't even started yet. And he told me it's going to be an informational-based website that you can go on to and find out where the fish are biting at. And I was like, wow, no one's ever done that. I mean, yeah, there's guys, but not at the level that Jason and Ali were proposing with the charts and giving the GPS spots and giving everything away. And I was like, wow, that's kind of what Manzer and Lasley and Grossbeck and I are talking about anyway, because what we were watching is they were closing a phenomenal amount of the coastline, and we took it personal. This is our fault because we haven't been sharing the information we gathered over all these years, and now people don't think there's any fish because they can't go out and catch them. So they're allowing the guys to close all this stuff because of the lack of knowledge. Yeah. And so when Jason presented that to me, I had to think about it a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. So if I catch a tomcod tomorrow morning, I call Danny and I tell him I caught this tomcod and I caught it at 33.17 and 117.18, and I tell you exactly where I caught it. I tell you how I caught it, why I caught it, what the weather was like, what the water looked like. And then Jason and Ollie were like, that's really cool. You want to do this live call-in thing? So this year we tried that live call-in where I give a live report why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's even more cutting edge because I'm right there. Yeah. I'm telling you exactly what's happening, why we're catching them. We're in the middle of the bite, why we're in what's happening. And so, yeah, I think it's the coolest thing in the world because now it's allowing everybody to know that there's actually fish in the ocean. Yeah. And that you can go out
and you give it
up.
Them. That's the other point, too, is there's a lot of captains that just want to protect their zone.
Well, I think
I understand,
but if you play the tape all the way through, and that's what I always try to tell everybody, if you play the tape all the way through, if you look at, like, my website, you look at the sponsor page on the right, everybody likes to be involved with me because I'm helping everybody. I'm helping the bait company. The bait company calls me all the time and says, hey, you caught anything? Put down what you caught so that they can sell bait. And then the tackle shops love me because they're selling tackle. And then the fuel dock loves me because they're selling fuel. It's a big machine, guys. Right. And if we're not helping everybody, and yeah, if you go out and catch tuna every day on your boat by yourself, you know what? You're not helping anybody if you're not sharing the information of how and where you're doing it. All you got to do is share a little bit.
You look at fishdope.com as a sharing of information.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it helps the whole industry. Yeah. It helps everybody. Yeah. It helps the guy that wants to buy the ticket to go fishing on my dad's boats. If are down in San Diego, it helps Frank Lopresti. If people know there's fish biting, they're going to go fishing, and they're going to buy tackle at Rick. They're going to come see Rick, and they're going to go, hey, I heard Greg Trompas on Fish Dope today, or Dave Hansen, or whoever, said that he caught him on the white. Now Rick sells every single white jig he's got. It's just the way it works, guys, and if you're not participating in that, I don't think as soon as this wide open fishing stops, I bet you a lot of you are out of business if you're not sharing this information because you want to be out in front. If you're not in front, you know where you are? Behind.
There you go.
Very logical.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, let's go ahead and jump into the phones, Rick.
You got it, man. Well, they're packed. Everybody's excited to talk today. Why don't we talk to Mongo calling us from Wisconsin? That's a long way from the sea bass ground. Good morning.
No sea bass back here, dude. Hey, I bet I got something on my driveway you guys don't.
Probably snow.
I'll bet you're right.
3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
And
keep it.
Well, I grew up right there in San Diego, and my favorite place to hang out was right there at Fisherman's Landing. Anyway, I was listening to your show yesterday, and you guys were talking about knots.
Yes.
And the knot, I would personally think that is one of the most important things that you can do. I mean, you can go to YouTube and Royal Polaris app on there. You can go down and it's a John Collins knot, an RP knot, or it's called a Springer knot. Those two knots, and it you can do almost anything, and then a Palomar and a couple others. But the knot is, I think, one of the most important things that you can learn to do.
Indeed. Dave, do you have a favorite knot?
Well, I made a video a few years ago, the 5 knots that I know how to tie. I only know how to tie 5. The improved cinch, the Palomar, the double uni, and then I tie this really cool knot to tie the jig, and I tie the dropper loop. And those are the only 5 knots I know how to tie. But if you don't know how to tie the knot, when you go fishing, it's not a good time to try to learn. You want to tie the knot you know how to tie, and then learn how to tie a new knot at home. Don't try to learn how to tie a new knot when you're out there fishing, because you know what you're supposed to do when you're fishing? Kill fish.
Kill fish.
Shh, say that word. But
so Let's talk about dropper loop for a second,
Okay.
Because a lot of stuff's happening on the dropper loop now. There's 3 ways I really know. There's the dropper loop knot, there's the surgeon's knot, and then there's the spider hitch knot.
Right, I tie a blood knot.
A blood knot. Okay.
That's what I tie.
All
That's
right.
what I was taught
So
when
are
I was
all
a kid.
those knots good? I mean, do they all work? I mean,
Yeah.
which one's
they
better
work
than the
just
other?
Fine. I tie the blood knot because that's the one I know how to tie. Mike Thompson taught me how to tie that when we were commercial fishing rock cod back in the 70s on the Patrician, and I learned how to tie the blood knot, and that one works perfect. What I do with that loop, though, after I tie the loop, is I cut that end, and then I tie my hook to the line straight. I don't loop it on there.
You don't.
Like a single
Well, you don't. Yeah. So you cut the single strand. You don't tie it double.
Right.
You never want to loop when you're fishing for big
I don't
fish.
think so because that gives the fish something else to see.
Yeah.
And you want to be as stealth as you possibly can.
Well, but you can tie with a double. I mean, like I tie with the double line. What do you do, Rick?
Same, yeah. I like I think I always knew it as a rose knot because that's what Roy Rose tied when I was a kid working in the tackle store, and I think it's the same as a surgeon's. You know, it's like the overhand kind of twisted type loop with the loop going through it several times. We've always just called it a rose knot, and I like it if the swell is particularly big. Our new boat not so much, but the old boat rocked and rolled quite a bit on the anchor, and if we had a lot of swell, we would shorten our dropper loop length up, and if it was nice and calm, we keep it nice and long. And I always tie my line. I tie a double San Diego. If I'm fishing big fish,
with the double line or the
that.
single line?
With the double, yeah. I keep mine doubled up. It's on the bottom, and I'm usually fishing a big bait. I'm usually fishing a mackerel, and I'm lesser concerned about a fish seeing it and usually being fairly willing to bite a big bait. Or in a case of a squid, I think that's one of the few times those things are dumb enough to eat it. So yeah, I like it doubled up. But that's just what I do, you know. And it's certainly not the right way or the wrong way. It's just what's been right for me. But
Dave,
that's what
J
I like.
hook or circle hook on a dropper loop?
Well, when I'm fishing, I have the rod in my hand and I'm fishing, and I'm always in contact with everything. But if you're not going to hold the pole, and if you're going to stick it in the rod holder, circle hook's the only way to go because the fish will hook himself, you know. But and I go into seminar mode for a minute. When I'm fishing, I like to hurt them. That's the only reason I go fishing. I'm not out there to save a bunch of fish and hook them in the corner of their mouth. I'm out there to actually kill the fish. And so my guys want to see fish laying on the deck. When they see the fish dope report, they want to see fish laying on the deck. They don't want to hear that I hooked a fish in the corner of the mouth and I let him go and he was all healthy and alive. No, they want to know that we took it home and ate it. So that's why I use a J-hook, because it hooks the fish deep in the belly and he's not getting away, and we're going to put him on the boat and we're going to take him home. I'm not fishing where Rick's fishing. I'm not fishing where Roy Rose is. I'm not fishing where you're catching 300-pound yellowfin tuna, and it's crucial to hook him in the corner of the mouth because the line's going to snap if you don't. I'm not fishing for those fish. I've never had a blue perch saw me off.
Thanks a lot for the call, Mongo.
Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. We're going to check in with the catch reports, find out what's biting up and down the beach. We're going to talk to Dana Wharf. We got lots of great stuff coming up. You stay tuned. Lots more fun coming your way. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. Everyone likes special treatment, you know, kind of feel like a VIP. Well, that's how our listeners are treated at Poway Valley Collision. I have personally heard of several stories of how well our friends Jim and Mary take care of their customers that we sent them. Poway Valley Collision is worth the drive from anywhere in the Southland. We know you may not need them today, but when accidents happen, it pays to go to Poway Valley Collision. And listen to this, our listeners get a special discount that can save you hundreds of dollars on your car or truck repair. Just tell them you listen to the show and you get the deal. They work with most insurance companies, including Auto Club, MetLife, Wawanesa, and more. Just bring your car or truck to them and let Poway Valley Collision do the rest. I have had my truck repaired at Poway Valley Collision, and the job was perfect. So get your vehicle fixed right at Poway Valley Collision. Tell them you listen to Let's Talk Hookup, and they'll save you money on your repair. Poway Valley Collision, 14211 Garden Road in Poway. Check PowayValleyCollision.com.
Are you feeling that itch to get out on the water? Come fishing on the American Angler and reacquaint yourself with some familiar faces and make new friends. Captain owners Brian Kiyohara and Sam Patella take pride in every aspect of the American Angler operation, from their loyal and trusted crew to the sashimi-grade fresh fish you'll take home. It's easy to find a vacation that fits your schedule. We have everything from day and a half to 10-day trips and longer. Call me at the office, 619-223-5414, or check us out at AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com. We want you to become a part of the American Angler family.
Time for our Power Pro 60-second seminar on your next fishing trip to get the Power Pro Advantage. The Power Pro Advantage when you have a kelp cutter rig is immense. You don't see the kelp, but it's still down there. And if that fish gets in that kelp, you've got to have Power Pro so you can get them out.
This thing has always been called the Power Pro Advantage, and that's one of the single biggest ones there is. Fishing in the beach, fishing yellowtail and sea bass, we can catch fish now in areas that before you just didn't catch them. You know, when you hooked that fish on 25-pound mono and he dusted you into kelp, that was it. On a super rare occasion, one went the wrong direction or you got lucky and got him out. Now with a kelp cutter rig, you can fill your reel with 50 or 65 or even 80-pound Power Pro, fish a short little fluorocarbon top shot. When you hook that fish and he gets into that kelp, you cut him right back out, and that fish now comes aboard. You know, we're fishing fish in areas that you just couldn't fish before thanks to Power Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not all about land capacity. In this situation, it is kelp cutting, and you got to have Power Pro. You have the advantage if you do it. Power Pro at your favorite tackle store. Check out powerpro.com.
Cedros Tackle has some great news. They are expanding to offer you new adventures to complement their fully outfitted tackle shop right on Cedros Island. Cedros Tackle will now offer kayak fishing and tours. The adventure includes deluxe accommodations in Cedros Tackle's own brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath cottage that provides all the comforts of home, yet gives each guest their own private space to rest after a long day of fishing and fun on Cedros Island. The kayak adventures include the use of fully outfitted Hobie Outback Mirage Drive kayaks, perfect for fishing, spearfishing, snorkeling, and more. Your Cedros Tackle kayak adventure includes transportation to a remote location, either by Ponga or truck. While you are out fishing, the crew will set up a relaxing day camp, including a barbecue lunch. Have the kayak adventure of a lifetime without the work. You just fish and enjoy. Cedros Tackle can even take care of all your equipment. So for your next trip to Cedros Island, try a kayak adventure with Omar, Jeff, and the gang at Cedros Tackle. For more information or to help plan your trip, check the website at cedrostackle.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. Absolutely every single phone line is packed up. Everybody wants to talk today, but before we jump back into the phones, we're going to find out what's biting, because it is time for the Catch Report, which today is sponsored in part by Gamakatsu Hooks, Japan's leading fish hook that sets the standard for quality and innovation, strength, and durability. It's the long-range season, and the Gamakatsu Super Nautilus hook, ringed hooks, and standard J hooks are top anglers' first choice in fishing for tuna and other pelagic species. It has the right design and durability to help you catch your fish of a lifetime. Get Gamakatsu Super Nautilus hooks at your favorite tackle store. And let's start it off up at Dana War Sport Fishing and talk to the man. Captain Brian Willie's on the line. What's up, Willie?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. What's happening, David? How are you, man?
Good, buddy. Good. I need a burger.
Yeah. Too funny. Well, hey, we'll just kind of jump in the report here. You know, this last week was kind of one of those weeks, kind of what you'd expect with the water temp taking a little bit of a hit. You know, it's finally leaving the harbor in the mornings. You know, we're seeing this 50, 56 to 58 degree water. So things certainly slowed up here a little bit. But the 3/4 day guys, they kind of shifted out of the rockfish this week with the closure going into effect, and they kind of transitioned right into that sculpin fish. And we're still primarily fishing down in that deep water off Fox Canyon and San Onofre down there off Camp Pendleton. Yesterday, the guys on the Clemente loaded up on those sculpin. They had 120 of those fish for their group yesterday. So some good meat in the bags for those guys. We drove around a little bit looking for that yellowtail. No sign of it yesterday. Actually, they hooked one fish on a just, blind fish, just ate a bait, and they ended up losing that fish. But not seeing all that bait that we had been seeing down there, so things have kind of transitioned down there a little bit too. So we're certainly going to be down there, like I said, fishing that sculpin and seeing if we can, scan around and maybe get a little hit on those yellows as well. The half-day stuff, targeting the kelp bass and the sand bass up in the shallows where we can get the bites, sprinkle in some sculpin. It's been picky fishing there as well, but, that'd kind of be a fair way to describe it. Just trying to bounce around from, oddball rock to rock and catch what you can. Halibut derby, still rolling pretty good. I know the guys are out there today on the Sun Fun drifting, trying to get a couple more fish on the derby leaderboard before the weather turns. There's 22 spots filled on that 25, spot leaderboard. So, that's going to be cool. And that leaderboard gets full. Then the fun part of bumping people off with, new fish will start to take place as well. So, we're going to have an abbreviated week with the weather, I think. But, guys, if you want to get out with us, we'd love to have you. Please, I can't stress, take advantage of that Let's Talk Hookup discount on the front of their page there. You click on that link. That'll take you right over. You can save 25% on a 3/4 day trip or a half-day trip. So take advantage of that.
That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, it clicks, it takes you over, you use the code, boom, you're booked, and you're good to go. Yeah, it's super simple. And who doesn't want to save a few bucks, right?
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Total
cool.
no-brainer. So call us at the landing. You know, like I said, we'll have boats out this week, a little bit here and there. It's going to be wet, so, you know, call and, you know, be strategic with your reservation. The number there is 949-496-5794. And, of course, you can check us out on our website at danawharf.com.
Wooly, great report as always. We sure appreciate it. Sure appreciate everything you do, keeping us up to date with what's going on at Dana Wharf, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, guys. Thanks, and we'll talk to you then.
Happy New Year, Willie. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, let's hit the surf now. Our surf guru, Gundy Gunderson, is on the line. What's up, Gundy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Dave Hansen.
Hey, Gundy, long time.
Yeah.
What's up, Gundy?
How's it going?
Good. I need a scoop of bait.
Yeah, it just hasn't been the same without Gundy on the bait receiver.
Harbor figured out, eh? Hey, we had, the same thing here, another week of unsettled weather, and it looks like we have another week to come. So it's what I call window fishing. You know, if you get 2 to 3 days, beach straightens out, you know, the currents back off a little bit, and it's mostly cool water, though. Like Willie was saying, we're in the upper 50s, so, you know, we're talking perching. Just looking forward here, the best bets, I would say, would probably be developing perch bite up on the northern beaches there, Oxnard, Ventura, Santa Barbara. Those guys are starting to really put the perch catches together, and the quality is starting to show, especially up there at Santa Barbara. Galita, Carpinteria, Gaviota, they actually had some fish over the 2-pound mark this week, so that's a good sign, something to watch for. The other thing is the bay and harbors have also been fishy. From L.A. Harbor to San Diego Bay, spotted bay bass have been on the tear lately. Not quite sure why, but they're biting real good. And those striped bass showed up there in Long Beach again. They spotted them in that San Gabriel River channel, and they had a handful of fish pushing bait back there. And the other thing, that stretch from Dana Point to Oceanside, lots of bait just outside the surf line. Cooler water, so the guys are drop shotting Zoom, Flukes, or Berkeley jerk shad. White has been the preferred color, and it's just kind of like your bass fishing. You wiggle it, you drag it, you wiggle it, and you'd be surprised how those halibut latch on. So a little bit to do, you know. The other thing, you might want to take care of your gear, you know, drop it off at, I drop my stuff at Shimano there. And it's funny, Pete, you know, most places you like to name drop and say who you are so you get better service. I don't even say anything in there. They treat everyone just as excellent as the next guy. You know, it's kind of a neat thing. Really reflects on that.
You know,
customer service.
There is no better company, service-wise or whatever, than Shimano. And having it right in our backyard here is such an advantage for anglers, right?
It is. I don't even need to name drop. Like I say, they treat me just as golden as the next guy, and that's something.
And think about it. If you told them you were Gundy Gunderson, man, who?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, they just pull the truck up, man. Take whatever you want. No problem.
Yeah, right.
Come on, Gundy.
Surf
no, it's
guru,
true.
man.
Yeah, it's a guru. And you know what? That's a good point. You got to stay on top, especially when you're surf fishing. You got to stay on top of that service.
It's very tough on the gear, you know, and if you let it go too far, you're going to lose the reels. You know what I mean? They go too far, so you stay on top of it, and when you get this weather, it's a good time to go through everything, you know, because I don't think there's anything tougher on reels than that little sandy, you know, salty, you get that little gray kind of thing, you know, going, and you got to treat that. You got to get that reel going again.
Truth. Yeah.
Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Happy New Year, Gundy. Thanks a lot. Look forward to another full year of great surf fishing reports from the guru.
As always, it's always fun, Pete. You guys have a good week.
Thanks,
Gundy. All right, well, again, the Catch Report today is sponsored in part by Fisherman's Processing in San Diego. It's long-range season and time to pre-book your processing orders with Fisherman's Processing before your trip. That way you're the first in line when your trip returns. You can friend them on Facebook at Fisherman's Processing, or for more details, check fishermansprocessing.com. When we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. Absolutely every single phone line is packed up. We're going to be taking your calls. Lots of great info coming your way. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the mighty 1090. Alaska is one of the ultimate fishing destinations in the world. This is Rock Cod Rick, and every year the one trip I look forward to is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. My dad and I have been going for over 15 years, and I just can't wait to go again. No one does it better than Kingfisher Charters. They offer the best service, the most comfortable accommodations, fantastic food, the finest fishing charter captains in all of Sitka, and the ultimate value. Sure, I've been to others, but time and time again, nobody beats Kingfisher Charters. You can catch huge halibut like the ones we do almost
almost every year, and salmon, well, Sitka is famous for some of the best runs in Alaska. We also get plenty of rockfish and huge lingcod. And when it comes to fish processing, the best in Alaska is Kingfisher Charters. And listen to this, it's all included in your package. In fact, everything is included except the tips. It's truly amazing how the Kingfisher crew continues the quality of service they deliver year after year. Come and join me on the Let's Talk Hookup trip in June, or just go when you can. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136, or check kingfishercharters.com.
For local and long-range fishing, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among seasoned or novice anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. They also do incredible Guadalupe white shark diving trips, as well as a schedule of kayak mothership trips. You need to check out the Islander on their website, islander-charters.com. The Islander is San Diego's leader when it comes to 2 to 5 day fishing. Watch the website for trips and adventures available. Experience the Islander difference. Visit islander-charters.com for all the details.
Here's John Ireland for Rancho Leonero.
The main emphasis on the ranch, we're going to keep it old style. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to improve what we have. The kitchen is brand new kitchen this year with all new kitchen equipment, new stoves, ovens. We put a new freezer in. We've put in all brand new split air conditioners with thermostats to make sure every room is cold. We've also worked on the boat fleet with a couple large lures, a 31 and a 34. We've got the largest Super Ponga fleet on the East Cape, all with brand new Yamaha motors. Brand new beds. We've got all Serta beds, the best beds in Baja, I kid you not. We're working all the time at the ranch. We're not changing it, just making it a lot better. That's why we get the high TripAdvisor reviews. It's my responsibility. I got to take care of you. I'll personally guarantee your best fishing experience and vacation at Rancho Leonero. RanchoLeonero.com. Our new reservation phone number is 800-646-2252, 646-BAJA.
XEPRS 1090 AM, Rosarito, Baja California.
You are listening to the home of the Aztecs.
He's gone. Touchdown, Aztecs.
San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Information is the key to success, and inside information is even better. When it comes to fishing, inside information is critical, and that's what FishDope.com delivers. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and save fuel. FishDope.com is the only SST service with a satellite oceanographic PhD on board. The only fish finding service with a spotter plane. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Martin Island, 365 days a year. FishDope.com boasts the largest code group anywhere, covering sport boats, commercial boats, and private boaters. FishDope.com has online planning tools, moon phase, tides, hot bite icons, and more. What I'm telling you is, if you don't have FishDope.com, well, good luck. Membership costs less than 40 gallons of gas for the entire year. That's right, 1 year. What a bargain. Plus, stay tuned for the special code to save $20 on a FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
It was another awesome year for fishing in San Diego, and it seems to still be going strong. I've talked to people that continue to get into tuna and yellowtail offshore. It was another awesome year for Ford, too. Once again, Ford is America's favorite brand. Just take a look at last year's sales figures. It's right there in black and white. If the car you're driving is 6, 7, 8 years old, it's really time to get into something new, because the technology in these new Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs is nothing short of impressive. You wouldn't want a cell phone with 8-year-old technology, would you? So why keep driving a car with old technology? Now's the time to stop by your San Diego County Ford dealer and check out the latest innovations and designs, like Pro Trailer Backup Assist on your new F-150. You just turn a little knob on the dash and it steers your trailer exactly where you want it to go. Trust me, backing in your boat will never be easier. Learn more at SanDiegoCountyFord.com or just stop by any San Diego County Ford dealer. They'll be glad to hook you up.